Hello, beautifuls! Welcome back to the channel. My name is Psynergic, and today we're watching episode 3 of It's Okay Not to Be Okay. I know that there are new people to the channel. I tend to take the opportunity to talk about mental health whenever we can. That doesn't mean that I'm necessarily saying that one person has this disorder or anything, because that is not how that works. To actually have a diagnosis of something, you have to have, yes, this kind of evidence, this anecdotal evidence, but also you do lots of testing and that kind of stuff. I take these opportunities to talk about mental health. I'm not saying that these characters are this or that. These are, whenever I say something like, this is what I would look for, that's not me saying that this is what they have. That's me saying that, well, if somebody would come in and present with this, yes, trauma is something that I would look into. I also know that I tend to be a little bit more biased towards trauma just because of my own research, which is sexual victimization, well, specifically re-victimization. So I also tend to try and expand my borders out a little bit. It's something that I've had to work on because I'm a published researcher in this area, and I know that when you are publishing in this area, you just are a bit more aware of those things. That's all to say, many of these things can be brought on by things like trauma, for example. Trauma is a catalyst for many different types of symptoms, and the job of any psychologist, of any therapist, of any mental health provider is to get to the underlying issues, right? And so, yes, I am taking these opportunities to talk about things. But remember, you're also seeing a segment that's kind of cut up for the sake of YouTube. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into this. Good Lord, that man. Where the cemetery used to be. Why is she freaking me out? Stop that. Nurses, I hope you don't talk to your patients like this.
예, 병실 쪽은 괜찮고요. 로비랑 스테이션 쪽 전등이요. 당신
Because.
여길 왜?
보고 싶어서 왔지.
Dude, she is dangerous. Get out of there. Oh no. I feel like I also have to mention, if you're new to the channel, from the very beginning, I have kind of shifted between like the fan and who I call Psynergic and like the more professional Sean version of me. So I like have fun and then like flip a switch and hear something and I'm like, oh hey, we should talk about mental health. Just so we're clear, there's a difference between Sean and Psynergic.
그때 분명 다신 보지 말자고 했을 텐데.
그쪽 혼자 한 다짐이었지. 난 아닌데.
That's not how that works.
신기해서 잘 컸다. 이 정도면 성장이 아니라 진화라고 봐야지.
Okay.
너 나 알아?
차차 더 알아가 볼까 해. 언제 끝나? 아침부터 안고 똥 먹고 달려왔더니 배고파 뒤지겠는데. 이런 총구석에도 맛집은 있지?
원하는 게 뭐야? 그거 얻기 전엔 물러날 생각 없잖아. 그러니까 목적만 말해.
얼른 먹고 떨어져라.
그래 준다면야.
너
왜 하필 나야?
자꾸 탐이 나.
그러니까 왜?
예뻐서. 그렇잖아. 구두, 옷, 가방, 자동차. 내
So
눈에
he's a
예쁘면
thing.
탐나는 거 몰랐어, 비던. 억지로 빼앗다. 가지면 그만하냐? 욕망이 꼭 무슨 거창한 이유가 있어야 돼?
Some level of narcissism. Damn.
회복세를 봐야 알겠지만 이 원체 인지 기능이 떨어져 있던 상태라 당장은 따지면 못 알아볼 수도 있어요. 이 아버님처럼 뇌종양에 수반된 정신장애는 완치가 힘들어요.
완화시킬 수는 있죠.
장난해? 화탈력이 갖다 놔봐 되나? 절대 안 돼. 증상이 참 여러모로 고약하거든 이게.
귀신 쓰인 사람들이랑 비슷하네. 굿이라도 한 판 해야 되나?
굿이나 부족보다 훨씬 효과 좋은 처방전을 내가 한 장 써드릴까 하는데.
My question is he had a tumor which could very much affect his behavior depending on where it's at. So they should be doing assessments to figure out what cognitively has changed. I mean, it could still be too soon. I'm not entirely sure how long ago the surgery was, of course, but that is an important question because when you do a major surgery, especially brain surgery, something is like, there's a reason why they keep you awake a lot of the times, right? Because they want to make sure that they're not hitting a non-tumor space. and any slight change, any slight deviation could change your cognition. It could change your behavior, what you're seeing, any sensation. You remember, everything that you do and see and remember is all housed right here. And so if you hit a non-tumor, if you're going into this surgery, you have to make sure that you're hitting a tumor and not just brain matter.
안 닮았지. 고개 숫자는 엄청 비니더만 죽은 지 엄마 닮았나 봐.
술 안 마셨어. 진짜야.
이게 뭐죠?
저희 병원에서 실시하는 집단 치료 프로그램입니다.
거기 쭉 보면
It's an odd way to advertise it.
환자 치료에 필요한 요법 클래스가 골고루 다 있는데 한 클래스 맡아주시죠, 작가 선생님. 제일 중요한 채용 조건, 수업 오실 때마다 30분씩 아버지 산책시키기.
조건은 내 쪽에서 먼저 걸어야 되는 거 아닌가?
Yeah, kind of.
이게 내 환자와 보호자한테 제시하는 제 처방전입니다.
No, that's an attempt at a manipulation.
설마 할 거라고 기대하신 거 아니죠? 요새 뉴스 안 보세요? 아주 난리도 아닌데.
그 난리통이 여기로 달려올 정성이면 우리는 뭔가가 여기 분명히 있다는 건데.
왔어?
Who is this?
봤어요? 고문형 우리 병원에 떴다면서요? 야, 신문 완전 개쩐다던데. 에이, 좀만 일찍 올까?
Hello?
다 이꼴로 만들어놨을 텐데. 미리 잘라놓으라면서요. 환자들 목 메고 콱 죽을 수도 있다고. 듬성듬성 가이지만 해놓지 누가 이렇게 난도질을 하래? 아, 개짜증나. 어디가? 화장실.
Fire his ass.
수간호 선생님한테 욕먹을까봐 겁나면 그냥 둬.
요건 나중에 먹고 밥부터 먹자.
No.
뭐야?
I mean, I can't blame her. Don't touch. No, no, no. That's sexual assault.
안 건데?
와우.
알았다.
Stop.
강태 씨랑은 어떻게 아는 사이야?
그건 모른 척이 안 되니? 난 그게 참 그렇더라. 만날 때마다 생가사로 오갈 만큼 극적이었고 그 순간마다 서로가 서로한테 늘 반전이었어. 그런 우연이 쌓이고 쌓여서 어쩌다 여기까지 일러왔다면 그걸 무슨 사이라고 해야 돼? 운명 따위로 퉁치는 건 좀 진부하잖아.
I agree.
지금 어디에요?
기운 빼지 말고 타. 고기 먹자. 나 배고파.
너 혼자 먹어. 나 같이 먹을 사람 있으니까.
아, 우리 상태 오빠?
It's really none of your business.
청산리 벽개수였어? 와, 재밌겠다. 해보자. 먹히나 안 먹히나.
Okay, I don't.
대신 다음에 또 튕기면 그땐 납치할 거야.
That is not healthy behavior. 1, stalking. 2, threat of kidnapping. Jeez.
아, 씨발 존나 깜짝 놀랐네. 닥쳐 이거라 이 새끼야.
That. Oh. What? Hi.
재수야. 다 왔어.
I like him a lot. Such a good brother, man.
저주받은 성.
Listen, I love a good horror movie and series, so she's bougie, and I love her for that, but
걔네 아빠가 직접 지은 저택이야. 부인이 글 쓰는데 집중할 수 있게. 뭐 한때 건축 대상을 받을 정도로 의리의리했는데.
팔면 되지. 왜 여태 그냥 뒀대요?
그 재수 온 붙은 데를 누가 살라고 들어.
근데 작가님은 갑자기 거기를 왜 내려가셨대요?
어떤 무개념이 누구 뒷조사해서 나 몰래 갖다 바쳤기 때문이겠지.
뒷조사를 갖다 바치는 게 낫지. 제 목숨을 바칠 수는 없잖아.
아유 이거를 그냥 가지고 그냥 아유 진짜
I love her. She's just a little cutie. This reminds me of was it? I don't remember if it was a movie or a game. The layout though. Okay, Ghost, let's go. I'm here for this. I didn't. They have a dungeon? I want a dungeon. What? Not like that kind of dungeon.
괜히 뭐라 헛소리도 하고.
What was the purpose of stealing that? You just wanted it? You liked it? Or compulsion? What's up? Let's talk about it. Now I'm hungry.
자기야.
Sweetie. Oh.
팍팍 좀 퍼먹어. 밥 먹기 시원찮으니까 그렇게 말랐지.
왜 자꾸 억지로 먹이려 그래, 최악에.
어이구, 다이어트 한다느니 잘한다.
형님 강태 찍혔다. 찍혔어. 찍혔어. 지금 아파. 어디 다. 살감으로 찍혔다고. 눈 보자. 눈 엄청 위험해. 눈 엄청 위험해. 엄청.
This is so wholesome. Welcome. Thank you. That's very sweet. Never mind. Oh. I better get jump scared. Oh shit!
정해진 운명은 절대 거스를 수 없다는 거야.
Sleep paralysis.
내가 그 왕자를
Oh! Okay. Well, this is giving me Nightmare Before Christmas vibes.
스스로 통제가 안 될 땐 이렇게 양팔을 X자로 교차해서
Certain mental illnesses, have certain symptoms, of course. Sleep paralysis happens to be one of those things that are a little bit more prevalent in those with PTSD. So obviously we haven't, or at least I haven't really seen, it was a little bit spoiled in some of the comments, but clearly she's gone through some sort of trauma. Obviously we know that her mom, I think we know that her mom committed suicide. And so if she witnessed that, that's definitely, that's trauma. So, I don't necessarily, I haven't seen the specifics yet, which, by the way, just remember, I haven't seen everything yet. We're working through things, okay? PTSD is one of those that has sleep paralysis, or those who experience PTSD or have gone and been diagnosed with PTSD. Typically, there are higher instances of sleep paralysis with those individuals. And so if she has experienced trauma, and to some extent it looks like now we're starting to see some of that show up a little bit, it would suggest that the sleep paralysis aspect would point to that a little bit more. She would be potentially experiencing that kind of stuff a little bit more. Now, there is a supernatural element to this, probably, so we have to keep that in mind as well. But this is just an opportunity for me to say that.
용아, 선생님, 서영아. 낮잠 자려면 그게 있어야 가위 안 눌리는데.
수습 못할 사고가 어딨어.
있어. 이번 건 사이즈가 달라. 목격자가 한둘이 아닌데다 소문을 더해가지고 얼마나 빠르게 확산되고 있는데. 아우, 이 연병을 IT 강국 진짜. 우리 그냥 기자들 모아놓고 시원하게 한번 울자.
받아 적어. 고문형 잠저. 알고 보니 치매 걸린 아버지 간병중. 이대로 은퇴 선언. 뒤에 물음표로 해야지만 남겨.
그렇지. 마녀 사냥이 한창인데 갑자기 그 마녀가 사라진다. 다시 애타게 찾는 게 대중이지. 야, 너 어쩜 그렇게 나랑 생각이 똑같냐? 우리도 아주 그냥 환상의 파트너다, 그치? 여보세요?
이제 쇼 시작한다.
What the heck? Okay, hello.
여기 CCTV 있어요.
알고 있어요. 나는 누가 막 이렇게 나 집중해서 쳐다보고 그러면 막 그렇게 좋더라 그게.
Okay.
일단 옷부터 갈아입을까요? 지금 되게 추워 보이는데.
아닌데 나 지금 되게 안 추운데.
Interesting. Paraphilic disorders are more sexual in nature. Some of the less talked about mental disorders are some of the sexual disorders. So this is a particular paraphilic disorder. Paraphilic disorders are a pretty broad range of sexual disorders that aren't, well, okay. It does include pedophilia, but it is a broad range. It is the classification. Paraphilic is the classification, and this is an exhibitionistic disorder potentially, which is why he showed up here. I'm guessing so that he could act this out, and he pays them to do that. Or he's just it sounds like just a regular patient who happens to be wealthy as well. And this is in the middle of not Seoul, so I'm assuming he chose it because it's not well known and he could just run off there and get treatment when he needs it, right? Yeah, so this is one. Paraphilic disorders are a diagnostic. There are plenty of diagnostic criteria for these, just like every other mental disorder. These are just the ones that you don't hear a lot about, honestly. And so I'm a little shocked that this is on here in a good way. It's important to note, like, paraphilic disorders, I know that I said that things like it does hold within it things like pedophilia, but that doesn't mean that obviously they're not the same thing. It's like I said, it's a very broad category of disorders that just happen to be more related to sexual. I guess the definition is more like, hold on, let me find it. Recurrent, intense sexual arousing fantasies, urges, or behaviors that are distressing or disabling and that involve inanimate objects, children, or non-consenting adults. Or suffering or humiliation of the person or a partner with the potential to cause harm. This can potentially cause harm because if he does this to an unsuspecting person, which exhibitionism can be done and often is done, it can cause, it could cause a traumatic event for this person. It could be upsetting. There's a lot of things that it could do to an unsuspecting person. And so I just think that it's interesting that they actually put it in here, right? I didn't expect that. Nobody really talks about them. I mean, we do even in clinical psychology, you don't talk about them too much, even though you should, obviously. You do in, like, I guess in PhD classes where you're talking about DSM specifically, you do a little bit. But it's one of those subjects that is, like, shoved to the back of the class. Like, we'll do it a little bit here and there, but it's not necessarily a number one topic, right? I don't know. Maybe it just makes people uncomfortable. Personally, for me, it was like my research was in sexual trauma, but sexual disorders in general were a special interest of mine. I think it was more of just that. The fact that nobody really talked about it. And so whenever that happens, usually I'm like, hey, I want to do that. That's just me.
잘못 보고 있는 것 같은데.
네? 조증이요?
급성 조증으로 봄마다 오는 재환 환자니까 이스케이프 조심해야 돼요. 비만 오면.
Okay, so they're also talking about potentially a manic disorder, which could be bipolar disorder. And these things can coexist, just to be clear.
산을 하도 타고 다녀서 날다람쥐라 잡지도 못해.
야, 씨, 국회의원 아들이 조증?
대통령은 감기 안 걸리니? 아픈데 누가 아들이 무슨 상관이고 조증이 감춰야 될 성병이라도 돼?
Say it again.
환자를 그딴 선입견으로.
예, 명심하겠나이다, 마마.
Get him.
나 아직 말 안 끝났어. 오차 일로 와봐. 야, 쟤
He needs to not be working here.
쟤 지금 미친 거지, 그치?
적대적 반항 장애가 살짝 의심되긴 해요.
Maybe.
형 혹시 그 모닝썬이라고 알아?
The best thing that our main character here did was not react to that whatsoever, right? Because that's what, in a paraphilic disorder, that's what kind of gets them the dopamine, right? The reaction to it. And so the fact that he didn't look, he didn't react, was very good and very hard to do. but very good. Manic, yeah, okay. There are other types of manic.
분실 카드라는데.
아니 급하니까 그냥 도로로 뛰어들었고 뛰다 보니까 막 존나 더우니까 그냥 옷 다 벗어 챙겼고.
FBI warning, shut up, man. Oh shit. Hey. This is pretty good. This is pretty good.
그러다 보니까 난 또 여기 와 있네.
See the jitters that he's doing with his legs? I've literally seen that. Now that's not always manic disorder, of course. It's not always a sign of mania, of course, but it is one of those things that you see, or that I've seen bipolar people do when they're in their manic state. When we're talking about mania, it's not like the classic is bipolar disorder. Particularly bipolar 1 is what people think about. There's bipolar 2, and then there's cyclothymia, which is like a, to explain it fairly easily, it's like a lesser version of bipolar. Still, like the cycles are a little bit not as, let's say, deep or tall. It's a little bit more stable, but it still goes up there, right? So things like it could be schizoaffective if we're thinking about these things. I'm mainly just talking about mania here, and so what I'm thinking of is this bipolar disorder, which I'm assuming that's what they're going to go for, although they have surprised me already before. It could be a psychosis, like a schizoaffective disorder. It could be cyclothymia. There's a few things that it could be, but I'm assuming they're going to go with bipolar disorder.
갈까요, 면담실? 오케이, 갑시다.
They would never let you do this in the hospital, though, because it's a fall risk.
3대 몇 초야? 운동하는 건데 아주. 아, 민석이야. 어서 와요. 아, 형 진짜.
Some of the stories that I have from, like, I remember one patient in particular who was just up, and again, this was when I was an undergrad, right? So I was just learning about things, and then I would go and experience them in the hospital, see them firsthand, and this one guy I think it was like his first time, but first time visiting the hospital, and like he was like, I can't express to you the amount of energy that somebody in a manic episode just gives off. Like, it is a ball of electricity, I think is the best way that I can explain it. They are just so full of energy all the time. And the problem with trying to treat bipolar disorder is it feels good. The mania feels great. You're getting so much done. You have so many ideas. Everything feels great. And you're telling them, you shouldn't feel like this. This isn't normal. There are long-term implications on their relationships because of this. There are long-term implications on their finances. Not an uncommon thing that he just expressed there. At least the people that I've worked with in the past sometimes have difficulties understanding the ramifications, because in their mind, it's amazing. It's all rainbow colors. It's all, I'm getting so much done. I have all of this energy and it feels great. Why can nobody else feel this with me, right? So it gets a little challenging for them, and understandably.
지금은 뭐 하고 있어? 또 책에 그림 그려?
밀가루 반죽에 재우 씨돈 엄청 많아. 의외로.
손. 방금 무슨 소리야? 형 지금 어디야?
끊으래.
그럼요. 오픈 기념 행사로 딱 한 달만 하는 건데 저기 피카소 선생님이 10분 만에 후딱 그려드립니다.
또 쫓겨나는데 지가 밖에다 가고 거짓말하고.
이 쌍방간에 협회 다 끝났잖아. 내가 장당 10,000원씩 쳐준다니까. 형이 돈 필요하다며.
나 돈 필요해요.
그래, 형님은 재능 살려 돈 벌어줬고 나는 손님 끌어줬고 손님은 공짜 그림 받아줬고 에브리바디 비해피 뭐가 문제야. 이거 착한 일이야. 기부라고.
재능 기분 좋은 거.
He's such a sweetheart. I love that man. Oh, she's doing it. don't know how I feel about that front bow.
오늘부터 문예 수업을 맡게 된 고문영입니다. 동아란 무엇일까요?
What did you call me?
동아란, 제가 아이유와 결혼하는 겁니다.
동아란 현실 세계의 잔혹성과 폭력성을 역설적으로 그린 잔인한 판타지예요.
Go on. Tell us about it.
예를 들어 볼까요? 흥부전의 교훈 뭐죠?
착하게 살면 로또 대박을 맞는다.
Was she in? Hold up. Was she in Hotel Del Luna? She was the older ladies. Maybe that wasn't her. I could be wrong.
미운 우리 새끼는
못생겼어도 차별하지 말자.
남의 새끼 키워봐야 헛수고니 네 새끼 간수나 잘해라.
I guess that's one way to interpret it.
선생님,
인어공주의 교훈은
Eat fishermen.
품으로 사라지더라도 한 사람을 지고지순하게 사랑해야 한다.
자, 인어공주의 교훈 약혼자 있는 남자를 넘보면
It's like the alternative meetings, I guess.
오늘 수업의 결론 동화는 꿈을 심어주는 환각제가 아니라 현실을 일깨워주는 각성제다.
She's like going in the complete opposite direction. Like you don't want to feed into any delusions or anything, but
원장님이 고작가한테 문예 수업을 부탁했어. 올 때마다 아버지 산책시키는 조건으로.
산책이요?
하여간 그 너구리 참 용해.
he is.
상태
Okay.
오빠.
강태.
I thought we were at the hospital, but it looked a little.
긴급전화 3번 눌러 3번.
조금만 기다려.
This is a perfect place for him to show up at, you know?
상태 오빠.
Uh-oh.
고문영 작가님.
여기 있으면 어떡해? 지금 주리 씨도 찾고 있어.
고문영 작가님 여기 있었죠. 고문영 작가님 여기 있었어. 여기 어디 갔지? 왔어? 30대 고문영 작가님.
아버님 산책시키셔야죠.
내가 왜요?
에? 아니, 그 조건으로 채용되셨다고 원장님이랑 약속하셨다면서요.
그 아이 이름이 뭐예요?
고길동. 얘 이름 고길동입니다. 고길동.
Okay, doctor.
이거 내가 좋아하는 책. 이거 내가 좋아하는 책. 이것도 내가 좋아하는 책. 이거 좀 화가는 아니지만 그림 그릴 때 쓰는 모자.
Perfect strike, man. Got him right on your side.
나 좋아해.
He went right into you. That was perfect.
이 형님 그림 실력이 참 대단하네. 어? 취미로 두기엔 너무 아까운 재능이야.
원장님 얼굴도 그릴 수 있어요. 한 장에 10,000원. 피자는 안 먹어도 돼요.
혹시 형이 나비 얘기도 했나요?
나비? 아니. 뭐 첫날인데 차차 하겠지. 풍경을 어디 다른 데로 옮기고 싶은데 말이야. 상태 씨가 도와줄 수 있겠어? 아까 그 본 그림 같은 풍경을 똑같이 그려줄 수 있는 실력자라고 믿는데
원장님.
이게 상태 씨한테 내리는 내 처방인데?
겁니까? 얼마 줄 겁니까? 얼마?
형.
돈 많이 주면 할게. 돈 많이 주면 얼마 줄 겁니까?
Know your worth, King. That's right. You got the skills. Be
그림
confident.
봐서?
I wasn't too impressed with him early, but now I like him a lot. He's such a sweetheart. He's so precious.
이야. 어디 봐봐. 얼마나 먹은 거야?
안돼. 이거 목표 금액 채우기 전까지는 남한테 안 보여줄 거야.
내가 남이야?
자폐인에게 가족이란 가장 가까운 타인 가족같다. 가장 가까운 타인.
그래서 목표 금액이 얼만데?
3,289만 원.
그 돈으로 뭐 하게?
차 사게 차. 우리 가족에게 추억과 낭만을 선물하세요. 선물.
이걸 왜?
그 사면 우리 1년마다 이사 안 가도 돼.
아.
딴걸 쫓아도 금방 도망갈 수 있지. 그리고 저 이삿짐 안 싸도 되고 방 뺄 필요가 없지. 내 동생 집주인한테 욕 안 먹어도 돼. 욕 안 먹어도 되고 어디든 갈 수 있어. 어디든.
Oh, he's such a sweetheart.
난 집도 차도 돈도 다 필요 없어. 난 형만 있으면 돼. 정말이야. 형이 내 전부야.
Oh God, man, that was good. That was such a sweet moment. It's so important because I feel like to a certain extent it's changing, but autism has this stigma that to some who just don't know anybody, or maybe they don't have anybody in their life who is autistic, but there's this stigma of not being close to anybody and being so socially awkward that they can't understand these things, but they can. It just feels potentially a little different for them than it does for us. And that was such an important moment, because, and why it was so emotional, is just because our main character would have been going through and doing all of these things for his brother to help him and try and help him to have a good life. And sometimes that would have been tough. It's tough in general. You throw in a tough mental disorder into the mix, and it can be very difficult too, you know? Sometimes a lot of times it'll be thankless. And that was such a big thing, because not only did it show that he cares, he cares, like one of those moments of him just absolutely, like, he's been planning this, he's been working hard at it without showing his brother, letting him know anything, and it's such an emotional scene, man. That was good. I will sanitize you. Oh, wait a minute. Hey.
너무 들린다. 너 심장 소리.
She didn't react though. That's good.
캠핑 가려고요?
아니요, 그냥.
Hey, stop looking at my phone.
한 대 빌려서 다 같이 놀러 가도 재밌겠다.
I see those eyes. It's adorable. Ah.
추워서 일시적으로 이게.
출근 중이겠네. 타이밍 좋다. 타.
They're gonna pass him.
고문이 형! 차세요!
씨, 비켜요! 위험해!
저 잘생기려! 나 잡으러 가! 진짜!
강태 씨!
오지 마! 거기 그대로 있어요. 누나 저기.
Don't stay. Get out of the road. Actually.
수동 수동
Your brakes aren't that good. Okay.
내려 당장!
Get him.
넌 왜 맨날 나한테만 신경 쓰냐?
신경 쓰게 만들잖아 네가. 차좀 빌릴게요.
Excuse me. I'm just in the middle of the road here. Oh no.
성재씨 여러분! 기혈밭 권만수 의원 절대 찍지 마세요! 겉과 속이 다른 이중인격이 완전 차별주의자입니다. 제가 막내 아들이야 보증합니다 여러분!
He's about to get arrested right at his dad's rally.
안녕하십니까 여러분! 기호일번 권만수 의원 막내 아들 권기도입니다. 교수님은 저기 있어. 예, 보시다시피 저는 정신병자입니다. 교수님은 저기 있어. 맞아요. 그 잘난 집 구석마다 꼭 하나씩 있다는 돌연변이. 집안의 망신살이자 막내입니다. 아니 나만 어려서부터 똥멍청이었거든요. 근데 그게 내 잘못은 아닌데.
That's right.
그냥 좀 모자르게 태어난 건데 공부 못한다고 때리고 이해 못한다고 무시하고 말썽 핀다고 가두고 나도 같은 자식인데 하도 투명 인간 취급하길래 그냥 나 좀 봐달라고 제발 나도 좀 봐달라고 그 미쳐 날뛰다가요 그러다가 진짜로 미쳐버렸습니다 여러분. 날 좀 보소 날 좀 보소 날 좀 보소
참 잘 논다.
He really is. He's having a blast, man.
그치?
나 그냥 너랑 놀까?
I'm just smiling at the background, like they're just, it's like a Three Stooges. Oh.
형 혹시 그 모닝썬이라고 아나? 아침에 뜰 때까지 놀아줄 그냥 클럽이라고 해서 모닝썬인데 아니. 아 요새 거기가 겁나 핫하다고 하길래 내가 거기 딱 떴거든. 내가 이거 다 쏜다. 야 먹어. 마셔.
The ball of energy. Man.
거기까지는 안 돼요. 에? 우리 아빠가 내 뒤통수를 쳤네. 어떻게 일단 존나 튀었지.
잘 보셔요.
급하니까 그냥 보이는 도로로 뛰어들었고 뛰다 보니까 막 존나 더웠고 더우니까 그냥 또 짬뽕을 제꼈고 그러다 보니까 난 또 여기 와 있네.
Good acting, man. Good acting. This was a good, like, I feel like this is the first episode that I've been, like, really into it. Like, we started to get more depth to the characters. I mean, look, like I said at the very beginning, we know, like, things are gonna progress, things are gonna get deeper. I know this is very K-drama-esque, right? Like we start surface level, you're gonna hate the main character, probably not like them, which is true, I didn't. But then we start understanding more about them and how they got to where they are and everything, right? Exactly what I said at the very beginning. And this is the first episode that I would say that we started to get those little bits of nuggets that tell us the deeper story, that tell us the deeper meanings behind the actions, and it's good. It's good. This is the first episode that I can say that I really started to fall in love with this series. Here's the thing, when we're talking about a manic disorder, which was what they were talking about with our main patient of this episode, that can coexist with other disorders. It's called comorbidity, which I've talked about before. The urination thing, I've never experienced with one of my patients. So I have to say that was a little new to me. I think that the exhibitionism that was there as well, it's understandable, and they kind of hinted at why, right? Like the reason, what made this behavior become a thing. Pay attention to me, right? How do you get people's attention? You show up nude, they're probably going to be looking. And why I say it's a good thing that, you know, our main character and the staff don't react to that, because that reinforces that behavior, right? And so if we're talking from a behavioral standpoint, you don't want to reinforce the behavior, you want to extinguish the behavior, and to do that you don't react, you don't feed into that cycle of them wanting to be seen and then doing this act of this exhibitionism in this case, and then getting the reaction, the attention that they wanted, right? So whenever he entered that room, that was so real, because there are so many times, like, you have to be, and this is why it's also pretty exhausting sometimes, if I'm being honest, it's because you have to be the calm, non-reactive type to be in these situations sometimes, and I'm gonna be honest, sometimes that's really hard to do. It's because sometimes it can be very testing. You know, you're also human. You have your daily ups and downs. You have your own life that's going on as well. So sometimes it's just really hard to keep up that calm demeanor, especially sometimes, you know, look, you're dealing with people sometimes at their lowest point when they come into a hospital like this. And when a person is hurt, when they are scared, you know, they lash out sometimes, and they will say things that hurt. And sometimes it's hard to not be defensive. It's kind of going against your instinct to be defensive and to be protective of yourself. But it is a skill that you learn and becomes a bit of a second nature, and can annoy your partner sometimes, I think, because definitely did mine sometimes. But you get used to it. It takes a special kind of person to be able to do that, and it's not always the easiest thing. So they did a fantastic job of portraying that, in my opinion. I mean, we can discuss whether what she did was there are better ways to go about it, quite frankly, because in the long run, he's not exactly helping himself as much as he's hurting his father, which is, I understand why that's the case and why that would feel so good It's like so good, but there are less damaging to himself things that could have been done in a private setting. In the hospital, bringing his family, whether they would come or not, is a different story. There are other things that could have been done to be less harmful to him. So I mean, we can have that argument whether she did the right thing or not, or whatever. In the context of this story, it is what it is, right? Like it's just is. Anyways, that's it. Thank you guys. Take care. Be safe. Wash your hands. All those things. I'll see you guys in episode 4. Okay, bye.